Hello everyone and welcome back. Sorry we're a little bit late there, setting up some technical difficulties aside. Had to get a buddy in here. But we're back. It's the 2025 OS World Cup quarterfinals, last match of the stage. And I'm Dolan, joined by cheerleader pair for what should be an excellent one, Norway versus Brazil.
The 11th versus the 13th seed. You don't get much closer than this overall in the bracket. Actually, is this 11th versus 13th seed on the challenge? I've got this as the 12th versus 13th seed. Either way, this is a close matchup.
Well, yeah, I believe the bracket seedings are a little bit different because we had a group stage after qualifying, and not necessarily all the top 32 seeds made it into the tournament. So there was some reseeding, but either way, no matter how you slice it, these teams are very evenly matched. And we've got a bit of data on both of them heading into this match, and I think you'd have to say the advantage goes to Norway here just ever so slightly, given their previous performances on this pool earlier yesterday. Norway got by Turkey 6-2, and Brazil was able to fend off a brilliant challenge from Finland 6-4.
Yeah, 22nd seed really giving them a run for their money this year. I think everyone expected Finland to be pretty strong overall, and they looked exceptional on this pool this week for quarterfinals. A lot of maps in favor for them, but Brazil coming out on top, potentially looking to take down a slightly lower seeded team, but still very favored in this match. Norway is a country that was running pretty high for a little while. They took a bit of a dip, some rebuilding years in between, and then between last year, halfway the year before, and then this year, they've really come back into their own. They've really pushed back up into these middle-high seeded teams and done well for themselves to make it through to the quarterfinals weekend. The question is, are they going to be able to win the last necessary match to make it through to semifinals? Only one of these teams will have the ability to move on to next week's losers round 4 to face off against South Korea, a pretty glaring opponent who took a bit of a rough loss to Australia this morning, but a uphill battle for both sides. I'm assuming we're going to see some serious back and forth on these picks. We do have a lot of mutually shared picks from those first matches here. So the pick and ban phase is going to be different, I imagine, than that first setup, given the fact that they have that information. You don't always want to go off of it too tightly, but it's definitely a good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when there's so many shared maps. It's different when there's one or two shared maps, but when you share quite a number of picks and you have that data, of course you have to look at that. As you said, you're aware you've been a tournament captain yourself. You have to take the data into account, but is it worth justifying your whole pick on that strategy? Because what if it was just a low roll?
That's possible. And there's a lot of that potentially in this pool with the way that some of these skill sets are presented. This Hard Rock pool, big wide flow aim patterns on Hard Rock 1, precision, big aim Hard Rock 2, Pencilina, an ACK-based map for that Hard Rock 3. And you compare that to the Double Time pool, which is relatively conventional. I mean, you've got a consistency-based DT1, one of the most consistent DT1s that could possibly be in here. You've got stamina and speed between DT2 and DT3, and then Raver's Fantasy, you are maybe getting the most difficult out of any of these maps with some of that wide-angle old-style DT, which does favor some players on both of these two teams here. Now, it does look like that DT2 going to be getting out of the pool from Brazil's side. A smart pick, I believe. Norway running with some very, very strong speed stamina players on their roster this time around. Smart to get rid of that one. It's going to be a double Nomad ban up here for Norway. Nomad 1 and 3 coming out.
Yeah, it looks like Brazil are going to round it out with Nomad 5. Accidentally dropped that kind of prematurely when dropping their first ban. But thankfully for Norway, it was not one of the two maps that they had planned on banning. That could have been kind of consequential there. But we have 3 Nomad bans, as you said, which is super interesting.
Yeah, that is a selection that we don't see too often in these pools. From Brazil, I can absolutely understand that Nomad 5 ban going up against a team with like Norway, with a player like Yokespie in the rotation. That is a pretty strong lineup alongside players like Nineric and Melver, who are also really good at that sort of skill set. It's not an area that Brazil is going to want to contend on in this pool. The bans coming out from Norway with that double Nomad is a little bit interesting. Brazil did play Hyper Candombe, and they did actually have a pretty good time, a 2.3 million team score on that map. The Nomad one may be just leaning into banning something that's a little bit more comfortable for that Brazilian side. So we've got some interesting ones, and kicking us off is that Flow Aim map from Hard Rock. It's Haunted Dance, a custom from Megafan.
So this is going to be this setup, no hidden bans. I believe we had 1 double time ban, 3 Nomad bans, so no hidden bans, no Hard Rock bans, which is kind of on brand historically for Norway and Brazil. Historically, countries that have always been comfortable on the traditional hidden Hard Rock mods.
Well, this will be an interesting one.
This pool is a bit unique, as you've kind of noted, Pear, but with the Hidden 2 is not exactly your standard Hidden 2. It's a very short AR9 Hidden 2, so it's not the typical Hidden 2 in terms of your low AR, which players like Yogs Pi, quite known for reading, being able to just knock stuff like that out of the park. In the past, players like GN for Norway. I mean, but with that AR9, it kind of changes up the picking and bans.
You do have to question the picking strategy a little bit between both of these teams because, you know, like we mentioned before, this is a second round bracket match for this, you know, quarterfinals weekend, which means that there is mutual maps that have been shared between these two teams. And something that we don't see too often is the sheer number of maps that have been mutually played between these two teams here. And Norway and Brazil did both stick it out on Haunted Dance in their first match. And it's interesting to see Brazil jump into this so confidently, their team score combined being a 1.937 million, which is quite respectable, actually. This is a almost 2 million team score at a quarterfinals level pick. Usually that's pretty strong in that sense, but they have a lot of players with some pretty high miscounts on a flow aim map like this compared to a team like Norway, who put up a 2.675 million on the back of Nineric finding a full combo, which means that even if Nineric found a miss halfway through the map and didn't basically get what was a full combo, he 8-missed like the last pattern, that still leaves them with almost 700,000 score of leeway over Brazil for underperformances here. And I'm interested, actually, more so, to see if Norway is going to be able to keep up that 4-way 500k plus team performance, because that is really, really solid to have 4 players who are good at this flow aim hard rock skill set. We're already going to see a couple of breaks come out from players. This intro section is a bit of a tough break into the side here with these accelerating streams.
Yeah, a really good launch here for Brazil. Only 1 miss compared to 3 on the side of Norway. And there goes the last full combo from Norway in Paper Candle.
Well, not a good start from Norway compared to their earlier runs, or more so, I should say, from Brazil. I mean, the bottom score on Brazil in their first playthrough on this map was just shy of 375,000 score, compared to the current playthrough right now, where all 3 players who have not found a break in the early onset of the map are still holding up combos, which is faring well for their chances to make it through. This is a long pick, though. Haunted Dance gives a lot of opportunity for breaking here, being just about 3.5 minutes long. Melver finding another break is not good for Norway.
You know, but these recovery combos, aside from that break there from Melver, look at these accuracies, Pear. They're all high 98s. And a high 99 on Nineric, but Paper Candle going down, traded by Izzy. Not going to help them. They need more, Pear. They need it soon.
They do. Izzy finding a break is pretty good. That's a full combo lost on the side there. Nineric and Penguinzy, the 2 players that you're going to be looking out for to make some big difference for Norway right now. You've got those 2 full combos remaining on the side of Brazil, and Kurumi W is bonus right now. They do have a higher overall score for that team, and Nineric and Penguinzy both breaking on the 1/3 intro.
That's absolutely massive. That is absolutely what they needed, but Yash is going to trade one of those back, but there's still a lot of combo built up here on Kurumi. As well as... Oh, no!
Well, Shock finding a break is not too good for Brazil, but Kurumi W, the hero that they are looking for right now, one of the lowest 2 scores on the team in the first playthrough, now looking to best their score from the first match already, and we've got about 1/3 of the map left. They do finally find a break, but 420k was their final score in the first playthrough. They're basically already there, and we've got over a quarter of the map remaining. There are some combos on the side of Norway, but there are more on the side of Brazil, and it's a 300,000 score gap that needs to be recovered here, which would effectively require every single player on Norway to full combo the remaining of the map, with more breaks coming out from Brazil, and everyone over-aiming these wide-angle streams here, and this is really just not looking like anything close to a repeat performance from Norway. Meanwhile, Brazil is already approaching their team score from the first set. They're about 100k short right now.
Yeah, they should definitely eclipse that, perhaps surpass it here. And unfortunately for Norway, time has run out. They had a chance, but just could not remain consistent enough in the back half of the map to really do anything to pull back that score gap. As you see now, it's coming down below 290k. But unfortunately, there's just no map left, and that is going to be an opening point for Brazil. Job well done. Dangerous pick there as the miss comes out for Shaq there. Unfortunately, caught me off guard too.
Yeah, a little bit of, speaking of, a little bit of pissing away score here, unfortunately, for
kidding.
Norway. Yeah, that is an unfortunate drop in performance for them. That is a 1.959 million, which should be noted, would have still beaten Brazil should this have been the first playthrough. They got 1.937 million on the first set, but a major improvement from Team Brazil in team score here. Norway would have been able to take this pick on a break point if they repeated their team performance from that first set, but you know, like I kind of mentioned, having all 4 players above 500k with basically what was a full combo is absolutely stellar from Norway, and I would have been stunned to see a repeat of that performance in the second set here, but they definitely came up shorter than they likely wanted to, with everyone finding a bit of an underperformance there. But nothing lost. It's Norway's pick now. That was Brazil's opener, and I am sure they are glad to have stolen that one away. I'm sure they must have been at least somewhat nervous jumping into a pick that they know they lost in the first set.
Well, question answered. It was definitely a low roll the first time around.
It was, absolutely. I mean, what was a 300,000 plus improvement for them? What a stellar increase.
Well, now over to Norway, and one has to guess that it's going to be a mod here, considering that there's only 2 no mod maps left. I mean, they could psych me out, you know, and go for the no mod 2. But it is going to be double time 3, Strawberry Crisis.
Well, this is another one that I think favors Norway in the sense of the mechanics side. Brazil has always been a decent mechanics team, but definitely doesn't always match up late stage when it comes to these faster picks here. They can certainly compete, but they need a star player who's going to be able to match Nineric. Nineric currently the #1 score of the weekend on this map with a 1.188 million score, 99.73% accuracy from the first match. That's also the highest DT score of the entire weekend, actually. That's the #1 score in the DT pool overall, just beating out Emrek's score on DT1 with remote control. And that's pretty big for Norway. When you jump into a map that's, you know, skill cap based, that does mean a lot in a pick that could be combo based, and especially having some good backing in a player like Penguinzi, who came pretty close to that 1 million line on this map. I really like their chances of getting this one on the board. Meanwhile, Brazil, we don't want to discredit their performances on DT overall, but Taeko, their #1 performance being 752,000, which does beat out half of the Norwegian roster. But that's also not considering that Paper Candle, who was only a 500,000 score, found a slider break. They are an S rank. They are the only S rank that is below 760,000 score on the map from this weekend, which leaves a lot of room for improvement in that area as well. Meanwhile, some of the other Brazilian players sitting down at B ranks.
And Hunter just casually dropping some lore. Some World Cup lore there in the chat.
Oh, classic. 2015. What an old callback.
You know, they're just casually doing that like Russia still isn't in the tournament. Like, you know, Ciccone isn't doing like a watch party stream right now. Shots fired.
Right? Right? Just Hunter just slipping in shade to every team in this tournament right now. Somewhat respects to that. I mean, getting the call-outs before Norway even gets a point on the board here is a bold move. and we'll see if they're going to be able to get it done. It's Paper Candle, Hunter, Penguinzy, and Ninorik, and as far as I am concerned, that is the exact same roster that Norway ran on this map for the first set. A couple of roster switches on the side of Brazil. We see the run back from Takeo, Izzy, Kurumi W, and Vitor Skull. Actually, I believe a substitution for Brazil. No, it is a repeat. So this is a full run back for both teams right now. And we're going to need to see a quite substantial score improvement from Brazil, unlike what we saw in Hard Rock 1, where they maybe only needed a little bit.
Look at this accuracy out of Norway here to start things off. They're just cooking here. A miss will come out from Hunter, but has solid backup from their teammates, whose accuracies are all 99 or higher. A 99.0, 99.3, and well, I don't want to jinx it. You see the number right there. As Vitor Skull is going to drop. Yeah. It's been bad for these two weekend pair. We're not going to do that.
Oh, yeah. No, we're going to let it happen. You know, and again, Ninorik with amazing accuracy in the first match on this. We're already halfway through the map. It's not particularly long. Hunter finding a little bit more trouble, unfortunately, on this than in the first set. However, it is to be noted that I did point out originally Paper Candle's score on this map, which was an S rank from the first set, but it was only 516,000. So that's an unfortunate slider break from Paper Candle where it could have easily been a super high score. And we are approaching the point where that slider break came out from Paper Candle, and we are not seeing it. Penguinzy finds the break. That's that second highest score from Norway on the first set, but a big held up from Paper Candle.
Kurumi just has no backup, unfortunately. Their teammates been consistently missing despite their brilliant performance. I mean, that is the definition of combo gaming in the top right corner of your screen, if I've ever seen it. 92% act and a dream still holding on. But alas, to no avail. Paper Candle and Ninorik have other ideas.
What can you do? Paper Candle, unfortunately, going to find the ending break, but that's a pretty massive score improvement from Paper Candle. Hunter, with a fantastic recovery into the ending of the pick, was struggling a little bit in the early onset here, but this is a great come up for them at the ending of the map here. A little bit closer to what that score was in the first set for Hunter. Close to that 700K, going to push up mid 500s, but that is a dominant pick from Norway there. 99.72 for Ninorik there, so not quite going to match up to that accuracy in the first set, which was 99.73, but pretty damn close. A good performance from Paper Candle to hold that up as well. 902K, getting rid of that middle slider break in lieu of a later one and really pulling up when Norway needed them to, with Penguinzy finding an unfortunate break in the middle.
Casual 3 million team score here from Norway to even things up 1-1. We got a game on our hands here. Back over to Brazil. Mod pool still wide open, hidden wide open. 2 hard rocks, 2 double times, my bad, and free mod wide open.
Well, if you are Brazil right now, you got to pick into the strengths of your entire roster, and I think that's going to be an important point to note about this match as we sort of work through the rest of this Dolan, is that while Norway may be able to rely a little bit more heavily on players like Ninorik or Melver to carry them on a significant number of maps, being like top performers overall in this pool, Brazil's roster is a lot more condensed on the leaderboard of performances from the first match. And that will benefit them on picks that are more difficult consistently across this pool. And I really like this hidden one pick coming out from them. A consistency aim map on a mod that they're very strong at is going to play into the strengths of this roster, where Norway, very strong on the mechanics, very strong on the aim, might not be able to just make it by with star performers if they're not going to be able to pick it up with the remainder of the roster, similarly to what we saw in the Hard Rock one.
Indeed, and I was just checking the MP link, and also this is a map that Norway did not play in their earlier match against Turkey. So, like you said, on a mod they're good at, that Norway is untested on, a wise use of their second pick.
Well, let's see what we've got for this map between these two teams on their first set. Absolutely stellar song and map, by the way. This is just such an exciting combo for viewership on this map, and the style of the map leads into being so suspenseful as well as we approach the ending sections with the big difficulty spike that comes towards the ending. It should be noted that Norway does not have a play on this map this weekend, so they are going into this map knowing what Brazil was able to put up on this map, which can mean good or bad things from Norway. If their practice scores are looking positive on this map, Norway might be pretty energized going into this, knowing that Brazil's team score was about 2.3 million overall on this map. Likewise, if Norway doesn't have good scores on this map, their mental might already be a little bit in the tank before this map even starts. The thing about Brazil is that they have no clue what Norway is on this map. So Brazil either assuming that their playthrough on the first set of this is enough to win the map, or hoping that they find an improvement from that first set, which may be possible. Every player in that mid to high 98% accuracies, with the sole exception of Kurumi W with 99.56% and an almost 700k, which is potentially improvable. That accuracy does give me hope for that score. But I think it's going to be very apparent very early on to these key eye sections whether or not Norway is going to have the aim capabilities to compete on this map.
Well, I think Brazil right here is kind of banking on the consistency, the length of this map, 3.5 minutes long. And it's classic hidden, higher AR, standard consistency, hidden aim tests. But like you said, they've got Ninorik and Yokespie. I mean, those are players that are not going to struggle on the hidden mod. And so I think Brazil's playing that team consistency game. They're banking on having the overall better team score, and that is what gets you the point here in the OS World Cup, as Paper Candle and Yokespie find early misses for Norway.
This is a difficult map, very consistent. 215 BPM is not particularly high, but it is higher than what a lot of aim players are maybe used to on a general basis. But when it comes to this style of map, I think it is quite fitting for this. But the hidden, with how some of these jumps are panned out, does become a little bit awkward with some of these, slightly angled jumps on the cross screens. They almost become wide angles, and that does make them a little bit more difficult to consistently play through if you're not comfortable with hidden aim. And we're seeing Brazil right now put on an absolute masterclass with this team-wide performance through the first quarter. Already looking strong. It's a break from Ninorik to drop that second remaining FC. And here comes Melver, second best performer from Norway in that first match this weekend, Ninorik being the number one. And we finally get to see our first break from Brazil, but we need 2, if not 3 more to get Norway into this match. There's one.
Shaq providing one. It's all on Kurumi and Izzy for Brazil, as well as Melver for Norway. And Kurumi is going to go down. It's essentially a 1v1, and now Norway, I believe, does have the advantage on supporting combo, but Ninorik is going to miss.
Not good. Melver, big combo right now. Izzy looking good as well. Izzy, the bottom scoring player, by the way, for Brazil on the first playthrough of this map. Looking comfortable on both sides. Recovery combos are starting to appear. Yokespie and Paper Candle building up. Kagura, Shock, and Kurumi a little bit behind. There goes Yokespie, though. As long as Paper Candle holds, this is going to be in the favor of Norway being able to hope for a break from Brazil, but really it needs to come from either Izzy or Melver. One of these two players is going to be the difference maker for their team. Its accuracy dropped for Izzy finally, but still looking strong on both.
That's devastating. That double miss is absolutely devastating there for Norway, as now the scoreboard flies over towards Brazil. Oh, it's a team wipe completed for Norway, and Brazil will sprint towards daylight with Shaq and Kurumi through the jump section. They do not care. Points gonna be on the board for Brazil in style there.
What a performance from Izzy on the recovery. The bottom score, like I said, for Brazil in the first set, holding up the #1 combo and score for their team. Right now, currently going to either match the #1 score from the first playthrough of Kurumi W for Brazil, or at least come pretty close to it. And Shock bringing up the back, 511k, 750 plus combo and counting, as we get a little bit of a Bancho lag into the ending section of the map. But I think this is all but closed out for Brazil. 360,000 before the pause. Even if they stopped playing the map, this is going to be all but lost for Norway, even if this is a disconnection from a player, which it looks like it may have been. This is still going to be a point for Brazil. We do have the score screenshotted from Shock on that side, and Brazil had far, far too much of a gap into the ending to let that one slip away. A valiant effort from Norway, but just not able to match up. And it doesn't look like it. It looks like it was Bancho lag.
Yeah,
there we go.
It's an extremely hardcore Bancho lag here.
Serious internet.
Shock. Yep. And unfortunately, the score bar is not going to be on screen to register this comeback here. But as you noted, it will be a point for Brazil. We'll get that scoreboard fixed here.
443,856 points in favor of Brazil. That is a almost full player worth of gap for Brazil on that map. What an performance on the A map. Remy W with the S rank as well. A big shout out to the consistency and the aim there. An unfortunate slider break, and not super surprising. Definitely the #1 skill set for Kurumi W. Going to pull up on those aim maps when they really need them to. And contrary to what the scoreboard says, there we go. It is 2-1 in favor of Brazil. Now back to Norway's pick. Where do they look in this pool?
Yeah.
DT not super favored to them. DT1 being pretty aim-focused and remote control, even if it's a consistency-based map. In Raver's Fantasy, the old style is always a bit of a gamble.
I mean, the only mod bracket that is untested is no mod. We have played one of everything aside from free mod and no mod. One hidden, one hard rock, one DT. So the feeling out process is kind of almost over here, Pear.
Let's see. What did we look like for free mod on Norway? They didn't play free mod 1. They did play free mod 2 and 3. They were 8th overall on those maps with a 2.8 million and a 2 million team score. And they did not play free mod 4. It should be noted that Norway did beat Brazil's score on free mod 3, and they actually handedly beat Brazil's team score on free mod 2 by almost 600,000 overall. That's with Brazil running double hard rock and a hidden.
Oh, wow.
No mod 2 instead. Okay, I actually also understand this.
Forget the stats.
I get it. You know what? I get it. Strong stream team from Norway. It's going to be something that favors into those, higher BPM speed players and mechanics players that they've got on their roster. And a player like Nineric is just going to absolutely shred this map. Meanwhile, Brazil, they did look pretty good on this map. 2.2 million team score, as opposed to, that's only about 1 million behind the #1 score of the weekend. So pretty densely populated for team scores on this.
As we get the roster set for this no mod 2 pick, a very short pick. It's essentially a TV size here, Pear. It's going to be Hunder, Nineric, Yokespai, and Melver once again for Norway against Shock, Kurumi W, Yash, and Vitor Skull for Brazil. Never mind, it is going to be Paper Candle checking in. Bancho was giving him some issues there.
Understandable. Paper Candle, one of the better players on some of those speedier, stamina-focused maps that we've got in the map pool overall. Going to be pretty crucial to that mechanics roster. Likewise, Nineric going to definitely fill in this final spot for Norway. Hunder potentially going to be extremely strong on this map. Didn't look super consistent on the DT earlier, but this map removes a significant amount of that aim requirement from this map, and Hunder, I think, going to be a lot more comfortable on a map like this when it comes to some of that stamina requirement. Yokespai, of course, going to be subbing out for Nineric. Yokespai, God bless his soul, is likely not playing the 240 BPM Mazarin map for Team Norway when we've got Nineric on deck in the final spot. And it looks like a last-minute roster switch from Brazil as well.
Man, I was looking forward to seeing the Yokespai 240 BPM play.
It's happened. The Yokespai combo game double tap has happened before. I just don't know if it would happen on an OWC stage.
I mean, it appears awesome. Bancho is really affecting this match quite a bit.
Well,
we are struggling to get a lobby together here.
Maybe a restart from Nineric, it looks like, to try and get them into this match. And Brazil seeming to have no issues despite the Bancho lag actually being on their side in the previous pick. Nineric does finally make it into the lobby, barring a couple of Bancho issues preventing him from getting in. Brazil running with Kurumi W, Teiko Nyash, and Vitor Skull. Pretty similar to their roster on the DT pick, with the sole exception of Nyash subbing in that 4th slot. Norway basically running with the exact same roster. Understandably, they don't have a lot of variability when it comes to these raw mechanics maps, and I think that's something that potentially hurts Norway in the later stages, but is also very favored to them because they have half their roster that's really good at this sort of thing, and then another set of players they can sort of sub in for maybe some of the more awkward gimmick and aim favored picks, and we'll see if it's able to hold them up on this stream map here. Again, really looking for the combos from players like Nineric and Paper Candle, who have been the two consistency-based players for Norway today. Brazil looking for a repeat performance from Kurumi W on this map to carry them through, as well as Nyash to potentially improve some of that accuracy that did struggle a little bit through the first set.
Okay, so Bancho finally going to let us in here and have a look. It's going to be a slight advantage for Norway as a miss came out there from Takio. Looks like there were early misses on the side of Hunter and Penguinzi there as Nyash is going to follow this up, and now Norway are really going to have a chance to put this away as Vitra Skull also goes down.
This is a surprisingly short map for a stream mechanics map. You don't usually see them this densely populated under 2 minutes in a rhythm game length song, and Norway absolutely shooting forward off of these misses from Brazil. It's Kurumi W to stand alone at 91% accuracy compared to the remaining FCs on Norway, which are both basically SSs. I mean, that's 2 100s and 3 100s, I think.
And unfortunately for Brazil, they're going to need the Nordic train to find some breaks right now in the form of a triple miss. Else this one is all over as Kurumi and Takio go down. The hope is fading into the final quarter. This one is essentially over.
Oh, Norway. Oh, Norway. You have blessed us with such a nice performance on this map. Penguinzi with a very early break and pulling up what is essentially a full combo into the ending, barring a minus 100. Paper Candle and Nineric, the two I called out at the start of the map, being the two consistency-based players on mechanics we've seen today. And boy, have they hit the expectations. It's a double FC for Norway, a 3 million plus team score for them. And Doland, I believe that becomes the second best team score of the weekend. That's right, Norway has just dethroned Poland, our #1 seeded team on the Nomad 2.
Oh my, Norway. I mean, what a performance. Paper Candle absolutely popping off with Nineric. The team consistency from both of these teams on their own picks is really impressive. It really kind of just sets the tone and really tells you what match we're in for here, pair. Both these teams are confident in their own picks, and they are delivering absolutely insane gaps on the score lines.
That was impressive, to say the least. I mean, you don't normally pin a 13th seeded team to take a top 2 spot on a mechanics-based map, because usually that's sort of where our like top 3 or 4 teams end up sitting, is in those slots. So to steal one away from a team that is favored to win the tournament this year is an excellent display of mechanical skill from Norway. Likewise with Brazil, I am such a fan of their picking strategy in this match. It's not always that you see a team maintain composure in a close matchup like this when it comes to their picking strategy. And I love that Brazil is not deviating from their skill sets that they know that they're good at, and they are just holding strong despite what the first match had in store between these two teams on all picks. And I think that's very commendable in a high-pressure scenario like this. It should be noted that this is quite literally the first time this map has been picked in the entire weekend.
In the last match of the weekend. And I think you hit the nail on the head perfectly there, Pear, to describe this matchup, to summarize it absolutely perfectly. Also, the veteran presence for both of these squads. For Norway and Brazil, these are two countries that have players on their team and in their community that have been there for 10 years. Almost. Some of them have not gone away just because they are that good at the game. Players like Hunter have been around for a long time. Korean Maliko for the past 2 years for Brazil.
Well, looking for that consistency from the aim on Brazil. Precision does sort of bring this to a different area that is unlike the other aim we have seen in this match. It is big aim. It is, you know, spaced out across the playfield, but it is far lower BPM than any aim map that we've seen thus far. It's got a couple of sliders thrown throughout, and of course, the main point of this map that we are looking at is the circle size. We have not seen anything even remotely close to this, and we will not in the remainder of the pool. This is CS 7.2, so a little bit smaller than your usual precision map that you would see in the quarterfinals, and this middle key eye has claimed the lives of many of our test players and replayers, because that's really the only thing I have to go off of for this map right now. And it's going to be interesting to see how the players hold up in a match setting when the nerves are running a little bit more high and you need to be able to snap to these small circles.
And already 3 misses coming out across the board. 2 on the side of Norway, 1 on the side of Brazil. Actually make it 2, and I'll make it 3 for Norway. And you can see right away why this map is definitely a unique challenge for these 8 players. And actually, they'll be the only 8 players to touch this map this weekend. So this is for the top score on the map pair.
This is literally going to be the first versus second place match on this map right now, and it's looking pretty freaking even. And an extra break from Brazil is actually going to now favor Norway slightly. Nyash with the combo, 97.9% accuracy, but Ninarik and Yokespie, 2 players that have proven themselves over the years to be very, very proficient in precision gameplay. Ninarik with high accuracy, Yokespie sitting a little bit lower, but accuracy be damned, the combo is what's going to matter when you see breaks on 3 out of 4 players on Brazil. And Ninarik to drop. It's now Yokespie versus Nyash, and Nyash is the one to break, and here comes Yokespie, the veteran of the Norwegian team right now. He's been here years, and he does find a break.
Oh, the trades are coming out, and Takio, the early miss who is struggling for Brazil, is now the lone pillar of hope standing tall and goes with them. It's paper candle now. Who can find combo? Halfway through the map pair, they've all been score capped. It's going to be a mad dash to the finish, but Norway have a 100K head start.
You have to note that this is a precision map. It is hard rock, and at 3 minutes long, that means the accuracy is going to make a difference here. And looking at the side of Brazil, we've got 2 players sitting at sub 97 and sub 96. Meanwhile, the lowest accuracy on Norway is Yokespie at basically 97 right now, and that's one of the highest scores in the entire lobby right now, which does do Yokespie some favors, where otherwise with a low combo that would hit a little bit harder. An extra break from Brazil is not going to be doing them any favors, and that's 250,000 score in favor of Norway right now. Yeah. This is not looking good for Brazil.
They're running out of time. They need to see a collapse from Norway, at least a double miss, something. Yokespie goes, trades Takio. Shock also going down, not helping Brazil. Norway with 3 players over 500 combo into the final sections of the map, looking to put this to bed. Anthony will trade one of them back. Ninarik as well. It's
It's bursty. It's like almost speed core because, you know, it's a little bit techy with some of the fast snap sliders in here, but really it's going to be about that mechanical ability. This is pretty aim heavy because it is speed core. And for that fact, I am really hoping that Norway is considered the fact that that is going to come into play on a map like this where it isn't just base level mechanics. Neither of the two teams have played this.
Flying blind, gambling here a little bit. And you know, when you get an advantage like that, I don't want to say it's a good idea, but it's kind of hard to say it's a bad idea, right? Because if it works out, they go up 4-2. Consolidate that break point and take control of the match. But like you said, on the flip side, it could backfire and we could be right back at a 3-3 scenario. But Norway, they like their odds, they like their chances, and they're willing to risk it as the rosters assemble.
Well, realistically speaking, Brazil is the higher seeded team in this match, which under normal convention on paper, you would assume that if the 13th seeded team in the tournament is able to take a breakpoint, that the 12th seeded team in the team is also able to take a breakpoint against them under normal circumstances. The question is, does Brazil have the mechanical ability on 231 BPM speed core to be able to play through this map effectively?
Oh my goodness, if that's true what Izzy just said, that might have implications. That... No way. Well,
he's back. He's back.
Okay, good.
We're good. So we are looking at interesting rosters for this team, Dolan. I mean, you know, this is not going to be just your general mechanics roster, nor can it be just your aim roster. Of course, because there are mods now thrown onto this, that kind of puts a wrench into any plans that either of these two teams have. And exactly what I sort of expected. There is just absolutely no overmodding happening on this map. This is an extremely difficult map when it comes to hard rock and that aim. And for the sake of Norway, Nineric being one of their best players on this skill set, I'm hoping he is confident on the hard rock, because otherwise I would have maybe hoped to see Nineric on the no mod for the guaranteed combo. But they do have Paper Candle and Penguinzy on the no mod, and Paper Candle, as we've seen in this match, has been an absolute powerhouse for Norway in this matchup right now, likely going to be able to do that again. On the side of Brazil, we've got an early break from Kurumi W on the hard rock, again, the more difficult of the mod combinations here, and a traded break on the no mod from Norway.
Vitor's goal is going to trade that hidden back, but Melver trades it right back as well. So both teams struggling a little bit here. It's going to keep the score gap pretty low, but it will be a slight advantage for Norway as we get a little bit of banter lag here.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a slow point in the match. We do have a couple of these every single map. And, you know, Bancho a little bit down, Discord a little bit down. Everyone is struggling just a little bit.
12 points for Norway. Let's go.
Get everything done. Oh, Doland is back. Discord is recovering. Good. Everything is coming back to normal now.
Bancho is doing a hostile takeover.
Vitor Skull's catching up. He's catching up. You know, we're gonna get the chance to see what everyone else is able to do when Vitor Skull catches up.
I don't know if he's going to be able to beat 12 points on the side of Norway, though. That's pretty massive.
7K on Kurumi W and climbing. That's a big improvement for Brazil.
Oh!
Okay. 700 points for Izzy and climbing. 87% accuracy. Bancho, God, please.
God bless Bancho.
I mean, Izzy, you know, this is favored to Norway right now. I mean, this is 315K in their favor, and I would be hard-pressed to see Izzy on a full combo right now, because I believe they broke earlier on in the match. So this is favored to Norway right now. Nineric with the full combo alongside Paper Candle is pretty big for them. Kagura on the side of Brazil.
Oh, well, now it's favored to Brazil, but Brazil's actually starting to pull it back a little bit just before that miss from Nineric, but now they have a chance here. Oh, Penguinzy goes down as well, and that is going to give Brazil a chance to storm back in it. The gap is about 100K and getting smaller, pair.
It's Kagura versus Paper Candle right now. Does the consistency of Paper Candle hold up, or does Kagura match And Brazil's supporting combos best that of Norway. Karubi W looking exceptional on the Hard Rock right now. Still about 200,000 scores short of Nineric, but those other supporting combos on Vitor Skull and Izzy being just a little bit better than that of Penguinzi and Melvers is really what's making the difference for Brazil right now. And that score lead is going to go back basically right at the edge of this spinner here. And we need to see a break from either side. It's Nineric to find another miss, and that's not good.
Brazil are not out of the woods just yet. They need to hold for a little longer, but they have a chance here. 50K.
Ending of the map. Anything can happen here. It's only 100,000 score, but Norway needs to see that break from Brazil. It's a double miss on the top from Brazil.
The biggest combos. It's gonna flip just like that. Thanos snap. No, it's not. We're getting debated. What is happening?
What I need? No. Hold on.
My brain.
Norway did lose. Okay. For those in chat that are wondering what the hell just happened on that entire map, Norway lost the pick by 93,000 scores. So whatever those ending 2 misses were did not exist.
Bancho, please.
That was just a whole wild ride of a pick. And that, however, means amazing things for Brazil as they advance 3-3 and Norway loses their consolidating point to try and capitalize on the breakpoint they had prior. What a performance from Paper Candle to try and bring Norway through on that one. But the team step up from Brazil was absolutely stellar. And it looks like the aim requirement on that map was just a little bit too high from Norway as Brazil takes it on the aim patterns. And here it is, baby.
Oh, let me breathe.
It's farming time.
Again, Bancho reminding us all that it's their world and we're just living in it. We just have permission. We're just renting the space out. And this is Bancho's house.
This might be the craziest set of Bancho skips we've had in any given match ever. Like, I've seen this in community tournaments before. We have had matches where people have literally played like the wrong map for the entire duration of a pick somehow. People who have literally had missing hit circles, people who have like everything in the book, and most of the time it stays fairly tame in the World Cups with a few exceptions. This might take the cake for most skips and awkward score switches and a bunch of other things. And unfortunately for Norway, Paper Candle not looking too pleased with this map right now.
No, to say the least. It's definitely one of those maps. But you know, Pear, we talked about this. I think the only other map that I can recall in recent memory in OWC pooling that has had a similar effect on players of all skill levels is the Big Black, in a sense that everybody is essentially prematurely mind-blocked on this already. You've played this map. If you are playing this map in a World Cup for your country, odds are you have definitely already played this map while trying to make the roster. So we're going to see how it affects people. Watching people play the Big Black was a blast for that very reason.
Well, there's a lot that is riding on this map right now, all things considered. And for the sake of previous performances in this match, Brazil has been extremely favored on aim-favored picks. And there has been some contention on whether or not a remote control could be considered an aim map, whether or not it's considered a speed map, whether or not it's considered multiple skill sets, because this map does have a lot going for it. We will sort of boil it down to being a consistency map with some pretty strong jump sections. So it's a difficult area to predict because Norway is obviously favored on the mechanics in this match thus far, but Brazil, on a lot of the spikes on this map, being favored on the aim sections, are maybe frontrunners in my mind on this pick, despite when I would normally pick Norway to win on something that is a DT pick. It should be noted again, neither of these two teams have played this map yet this weekend, so we are going into this map with no information for both sides. A very similar roster on Norway. Melver with the sub in here. And Brazil running with that same roster that we saw earlier. Number 1 team score of the weekend to beat on this map is Austria with 3.3 million on the team score. That is the team score to match.
And here we go. Only one early miss to speak of from Kagiura there. It's going to net a slight advantage for Norway. That is immediately going to be traded back over to Brazil with those misses there from Pinguinzi.
Well, we have plenty of map to come. And here comes the first jump section right here. It's not the difficult one, but it could catch players if they're not ready. It's Karumi W. Bad accuracy to find a drop on as well. Norway looking a lot more comfortable in the act department. Pinguinzi did find a trading break a little bit afterwards, like right on the same combo. We make it through the first jump section with only one break on either side. Vitor Skull, however, into the speed section afterwards, going to find an overaim, and that is just Izzy left on the full combo. We'll call Kagura a full combo right now, but that 96% accuracy on the early miss, not doing them any favors.
Yeah, unfortunately for Brazil now, Norway going to check out here pretty quickly unless something happens. We are at the halfway mark, though, so still plenty of map left. If some of these Norwegian players get score cap, Brazil will have a shot. But they need it to happen right here, right now, in this Ki. Here we go, pair.
This is going to be the secondary section here. The big one is really the one we're looking for at the end.
Right, of course, yeah.
That's a tough one. We've got a breakdown section here into the speedier section of the map, which includes a couple of kick sliders that we might see catch players off guard. And unfortunately for Brazil, with a 400,000 score gap and only one player holding combo right now, if we don't see a four-way break from Norway in the last jump section, I believe this is all but over. This is 2.3 million for Norway. Even if all 3 players break, I believe they still take the number 1 team score.
Yeah, there goes Izzy and Pinguinzi. And I was about to say, Austria's team score not looking too safe right now as that score goes to 2.7, now 2.8 million. With the final section approaching, they have a chance to snipe it away. Oh, there's a miss from Melver. Hold on. It's going to be close here, pair. It's going to be really close. Paper candle goes. Austria might hold on to their score lead. They're going to do it.
It's 3.13 million. Austria 3.283. They've got just over 100K of gap. Nineric misses the ending. And I don't know if it's going to come back in the last section. 60K. Does Norway take the number 1 team score of the weekend? The final spinner.
It's a spin. It's a spin.
Does Norway get the number 1 score of the weekend? They get it.
Oh my goodness. Poor Austria. Commiserations. But Norway comes in with a massive team score to get the number 1 score on remote control for the weekend. It's theirs. They wanted it. They got it. And that is the 3rd consecutive breakpoint in this match.
For those putting question mark Austria had the number 1 team score of the entire weekend on DT1 at 2.283 million score. Norway besting that with a 3.283 million. Norway besting that with a 3.3 plus million team score for the number 1 performance of the weekend in their second matchup here, and it just stands as a testament to how good this Norwegian roster is at the mechanics picks. This is such a strong team. That is the second number 1 team score of the weekend from Norway in this match. That's 2 with at minimum 2 more maps to go.
Here we go, next pick for Norway. And they really need to consolidate this pick after these past 3 picks have just been sheer chaos. Breakpoint for breakpoint for breakpoint. Somebody needs to take control. And once again, they have an opportunity here. But where do you go in this pool? It is going to be Hard Rock 3. Despite the fact that Brazil have picked the previous 2 Hard Rocks in this match, they'll dive straight into Hard Rock 3.
This is a very accuracy-based map. You need to be very proficient at sliders. This map, when going for the showcase, took, I think, a total of like 15 playthroughs to get the full combo. The 14 plays that were not the full combo for the replay were S ranks on this map, if that gives you an idea of the type of experience that these two teams are in for on a pick like this. And on Score V2, where the positioning of your cursor when you hit the end of the slider is actually important, means that accuracy is going to be equally important as the combo on a pick like this at 3 minutes.
And here we go, the timer expiring. Players getting into the lobby. We'll see if Bancho plays nice this time.
Please. Please.
Pretty please.
Sliders generally don't mess with Bancho as much as other patterns do. Buzz sliders are definitely the #1 offender for Bancho misses. Double time is definitely the #1 offender for causing desyncs. There are a lot. There are a lot of options here, and still nothing to see for both of these teams here. Waiting for the last player to come in for either side. Nyash going to be in for Brazil on the Norwegian side right now. Needs to slide down one more slot there, and Norway looking for their first player, or their fourth player to come in here. Yash gonna be prompted to slide down out of the slot. There we go. And we are in. Now the question is, have either of these two teams experienced this map in a match thus far? Norway and Brazil both have played this map. Norway, the picking team, number 2 team score of the entire weekend, bested by China, who had effectively a 4-way full combo on this map. 3.7 million team score on this, with the exception of an A rank from LOL234. Everyone else S rank 900k plus. Norway, a little bit far behind in terms of a double 900k. Yokespie coming pretty close at a 760k. Anthony W with a 481k, but an S rank, so a slider break that I sort of talked about that catches players off guard. On the side of Brazil, second to bottom score of the weekend. 9th out of 10 overall teams, 1.8 million team score, 2 S ranks and 2 A ranks with 3 players below 450k. So this is looking pretty far up for Norway as we get into the early onset.
Well, on paper is paper, but game is game, to quote our fellow caster Dio. We'll see who's got game here on this pick. Anthony W, Yokespie, Melver, Ninarik against Izzy, Kagiura, Nyash, and Shock.
Game is game, and Ak is king on this map, and we are already seeing evidence of the struggles for slider accuracy on a hard rock pick like this. And Anthony W and Ninarik going to be our front runners for Norway. Meanwhile, Kagura going to be the #1 Ak on Brazil by quite a large margin. It's Shock to find the first break. Ninarik and Izzy to trade it out. That's 1 for Norway, 2 for Brazil. Nyash and Kagura versus Yokespie, Anthony W, and Melver. And it's pretty good accuracy for Yokespie and Anthony W. There goes Nyash, and now it's Kagura and Izzy.
Left to fend off 3 400-plus combos here. A very early miss for Melver. Effectively a full combo here.
This is the point of the map that sort of makes the difference in this halfway. If you can combo through these larger sliders here, they're not particularly difficult to follow, but it's these buzz sliders and single snaps in between that sometimes catch players off guard. We're not seeing anyone get caught yet. The slider stream catches both of the combos from Brazil. Ninarik to find a break, and that's 3 remaining for Norway, and Brazil has just been brought all the way down on that pattern.
Pack it up. It's over on this pick.
Kagura's back. Kagura's back.
Okay, thank goodness. So that was Bancho, thankfully. But yeah, if Kagura had missed right there, that would have been officially over. And it's already looking dire as is. Brazil need at least 2 of these 3 big combos to fall really quickly. Melver will go, but that's still not enough.
Well, it's certainly going to be a far shot from China's #1 scorer of the weekend, but Norway looking absolutely stellar on this map, and the 2 to do it are who you would expect. Yokespai and Anthony W. so strong. Yash to find one final break into the ending with Shock. Kagura looking so solid on Brazil. The full combo still maintaining 94% accuracy. Be damned, it's pretty respectable on a map like this in a match setting, but this is Norway's pick to hold. They are not going to beat their team score from the first match, but they are going to come pretty damn close. 3.1 million and a double FC from Anthony W. and Yokespai to bring them to match point.
Anthony W. able to claw his way up to 98% accuracy on the FC. Job well done. And now Norway have taken control of the match and have put Brazil, well, at the edge of a cliff now, essentially.
1 miss in the whole lobby, by the way.
That is crazy.
When I said at the beginning that there were 15 plays on this map, and all 15 of them were S ranks, this is what I meant.
Bruh. I've never been able to relate more to an OWC player in my life than I can relate to Shaq right now.
It's very unfortunate, but it must be done. Unfortunately, there must be the 1 miss, but that is so many S ranks, and it is now Brazil's turn to try and force out Tiebreaker. It's Illustrious Drifters, the original from MetaHuman Boy, mapped by Altai. It's Tokyo Tony Diff. This is our techie flow aim map in Nomad in Brazil. This is one of 2 maps necessary for them to force out Nostrand, and we are very close, but it's an uphill battle from Brazil. This is the easier half of it. Taking Norway's pick is really going to be the difficult side. And it is a tech map, but it's a completely different side of things. I know you see them pick in a hard rock that is fairly slider favored, but this map is just a whole different kind of tech. It is more of a conventional form of like control tech rather than sliders. And while there are sliders on this map, a lot of what you're going to get caught on are these stacked cut streams, these really dense snappy patterns in between some of these wide angles, and get some Aurora spam in chat right now for this. I really wish that we could have 4 storyboards on this because it was so good.
Yeah, but Bancho's barely letting us play today as is. I don't think Bancho would take too kindly to 4 storyboards.
This is the pick to look out for right now. Brazil needs a huge turnaround. It's only 2 picks, which doesn't seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but when you have the pressure on and you know that with any slip-up, your opponent could win the match, that does put the pressure on even for your own pick. And for the sake of Brazil, I hope their flow aim is absolutely locked in right now, because they can afford no early breaks. They can afford no missed score. This is what it all comes down to. Norway, Anthony W, Paper Candle, Nineric, Melver versus Brazil, Izzy, Karumi W, Nyash, and Shock coming for the 8 players who could potentially push Brazil to 1 away from match point on Tiebreaker. Norway, a singular map, a singular break point away from ripping the hearts out of the Brazilian roster and advancing to the semifinals weekend.
Top 12 right in front of Norway. They can almost taste it. They just have to reach out and grab it with both hands here. Brazil backs against the wall. They're going to need 3 points in a row to stay in the 2025 OS World Cup and advance to the top 12. South Korea awaiting the winner. Melver's going to be the first one to fall here for Norway, but the advantage will still remain with them based off of accuracy and that trade from Yash.
Melver not looking too hot at the start, finding a second break. Another third one as well, really not looking too good. Hopefully a recovery from them. The rest of the team holding on strong for both sides. And here comes those cut streams I mentioned, very flowing favored pick, and while there are sliders, this is the difficult section of the map, being able to hit these wiggles. It's Anthony W to find a break, but Karumi W and Shock to trade out that one. It's Paper Candle Nineric.
Oh, no.
And Izzy to find a break, and Brazil's time in the OS World Cup 2025 is drawing to a close.
It's all on Paper Candle and Nineric. Brazil need to see them fall really quickly, really soon, or as you said, their time in this tournament will be up in just about 90 seconds. Anthony will fall, but that is not a miss they need. Paper Candle is a miss they need. They get one of them. That will give Brazil a chance, but Nash is going to go their biggest combo.
Yeah, they had a double break on that side. They've got supporting combos, but the accuracy is decent enough. It's not enough to match up from the overall performance from Norway. And while Karumi W, Shock, and Izzy are putting up combos now, the question is, do they hold through the next difficult section? Dolan, the big point of this map is coming up right now. This 1/3 rhythm section right now could catch off a lot of these combos through the halfway point. And if Nineric is one of those breaks, this becomes interesting. It's Izzy to find a preliminary miss, though, and that's going to give some concessions to Norway. Here we go.
And now Brazil are going to essentially need that miss to beat Nineric, at least Nineric. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to come back. But a double miss is going to be nice. They'll take that from Anthony and Paper Candle, but Karumi is going to trade, and every trade hurts. It's now all on check for Brazil. They need Nineric to fall, and they need it now. Nelver has locked back in when needed most, and there goes Brazil, and there goes Norway into the top 12 of the World Cup.
What a performance overall from Norway. Nineric, their #1 player of the weekend, doing more than enough in this match. And on this map, 750k, the highest score in the lobby by a margin that is unspeakable, even over their own teammates. And that is an unfortunate loss for Brazil to close this one out, to have them out just before that top 12 spot, almost overseeding for Brazil. Norway matching their seeds spot on. 13th seed moving up into the top 12. They are going to push through into yet another year in these upper half of teams. And Dolan, that is going to outplace the placement from last year for Norway, where they were eliminated in the quarterfinals weekend in 13th to 16th place, now advancing to their best placement since 2018. And they need to make it through the semifinals weekend in order to get their best placement ever, which was top 7 and 8. They need to win that first match and eliminate South Korea. But a great start from Norway. And as they push up into that top 12, we unfortunately say goodbye to Brazil, and a well-fought lineup through for them.
Decommiserations to Brazil, but Norway finally delivering and living up to the potential that they knew they had, exceeding their seed, as you've said, now top 12, the 13th seed. So now they can rest assured as they march into semifinals weekend for the first time in a long time that they have done the job, and they can approach their next match as a challenger. And they will have to do so because their opponent in top 12 will be our 6th seed, South Korea. And the stage is set, chillier pair, for what should be the most exciting, electrifying weekend of matches in the OS World Cup semifinals. Poland versus Canada, United States versus Australia in top 4. In the semis, the top 4 seeds have delivered. Should be an exciting year.
Going to be an exceptionally exciting year, on top of a group stage coming back, and on top of so many close matches in the past couple of weekends here. We advance to one of the final 3 stages of the tournament as the quarterfinals is now completed. All of your advancing teams listed out. Challenge going to be updated soon. And that leaves us just one thing left for this weekend. That's right. It's the semi-finals map pool showcase coming at you. I've seen a lot of discussion about some maps in this pool potentially coming up, but they have yet to be revealed in full. More excitement. We're going to take a break for just about 5 minutes before that showcase to let our team get set up appropriately. Don't go anywhere. Buy some banners. Support your favorite team. And of course, if you purchase the banner for the winning country, you'll get to keep it for a full calendar year in fancy, shiny gold color to display your support for the winning team until the OS World Cup in 2026. But that's it for us for the broadcast for this weekend. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for some very exciting quarterfinals matches. Thank you for joining me this afternoon, Dolan, and we will catch you all in just about 4 to 5 minutes for that semifinals map pool showcase. Don't go anywhere.
A pleasure as always. We'll see you next time.